You're living fight to fight. So it's like, I gotta survive, I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta win. For a long time, the thing that I remembered most about Nigeria was my mom raising all three of us, the three Usman boys. I couldn't really remember my dad for the most part. It's very hard when you're growing up like that. It's very hard to forget the way that the whole village raised us. Of course, when we needed food, we grew food. We grew tomatoes, we grew crops, things of that nature. So that was a part of how we were surviving. But also, my mother was a teacher, and on top of that, we owned a convenience store which we sold pretty much everything. My mom was an ultimate hustler while my dad was gone, and I didn't understand that for the most part, why my dad wasn't there. But then when my dad came back, and I remember it was such a big deal to just everyone in the village. Having three boys in Nigeria and a wife must have been very difficult. As a military man, he was a major in the army in Nigeria. He could have stayed there and life could have been easier for him. You know, he had bigger plans. He saw the bigger picture. That's one of the reasons why my dad is my hero. When we eventually moved here, we get picked up by our dad at the airport and we're all together. I felt complete. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. It was my mom, my dad, three boys. We lived that way until, you know, my dad continued to work hard as a pharmacist to where now we were able to buy our house, which was over 20-something years ago. All of us brothers, all the boys were blessed enough athletically to where we could play sports at a high level. You know, you come from a Nigerian home, first of all, you want to be a doctor, you're going to be an engineer, or you're going to be a pharmacist. These are the acceptable fields for you to go into. Not an athlete, because that's not a secure future. And once my dad realized that they're going to school, they're still making the grades that I want them to make, he was more okay with letting us explore some of these sports. My oldest brother picked soccer. My little brother, he was a headhunter. He was a football player. He knew that. He wanted to hit people. He wanted to tackle people. And that's where he excelled. I told my father, I said, I'm going to go out for wrestling. And I just remember him saying, what? Like Stone Cold? Wrestling? I'm like, no, not like that, Dad. I'm not getting hit with chairs. Until my junior year, I think my mom is the one that actually caught me because I was wrestling in a city tournament, which was televised. And my mom happened to be flipping through TV one day, and here I was on TV wrestling. But they don't understand kind of the dynamic. My dad was always working. My dad was a very, very, very hardworking man. It was ambition that said that, you know what, I need to go study abroad. I need to go to the US to study because I want to make something of myself. Which also led to him saying that I don't just want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. I want to start my own business. My dad had a conversation with us and said that, hey, they're offering me this plea deal. When you're an innocent man and they're telling you you got to spend 3 years of your life away from your family in jail, we're not going to take that. And he felt that the justice system would serve him. But one thing he's not realizing is that they've frozen all your assets to where you have no money. He had to take a court-appointed attorney. You can't fight it. Seeing my father for the first time, having to go into the facility, at that point, he's just a number in the system. And having him come in and hold his family. And I have to put myself in his reality that he has to go into a cell. And then for me to have to get in the car and drive away. And he has to stay there. It floored me big time. Personally, it meant a lot to me, but I think it was also still keeping him in the loop and letting him know that he still has a grasp on his family. I moved down to South Florida, working with the Black Zillions down there, and I could always find someone that I can see as that placeholder. The men that I looked up to, like Rashad Evans. And just the way they carry themselves, they all had certain qualities that my father had. Because when those men spoke or when they gave me any advice about certain things, I listened. And then an opportunity presented itself. I remember the last time I visited my father, he told me that their workrooms, they have TVs in there. And he said that UFC stuff is always on the TV there. And so it was kind of a little extra push for me to commit to doing the show because there was a possibility that my father was going to be able to see it. My life, my family's future. I'm fighting for financial security for my daughter. I couldn't tell you what it did for me, man. It was instrumental. Now I'm able to give my father something else to look forward to. And he's able to share with the people that were around him on a daily basis that, hey, that's my son. Fast forwarding my career to where I now signed to the UFC, the first thing that I ask is my father gonna be able to see this on broadcast TV? That was my only concern. And I tried to make sure that that was there each and every time. My father's been incarcerated since 2009. And this is the first time really I ever talked about it. Lo and behold, Great Tesh, the attorney that heard me talk about this through the Joe Rogan show. He was the one who wrote those final letters and made some of those final calls to where it kind of helped expedite the process.